Okay.
We're live.
Okay, the way it works is that we actually, guess what? Ready for this? We chazer the Gemara from yesterday. Again, I'm going to chazer quickly. I'm going to say it out loud, and then we'll start with the next Gemara. And in this way, we've chazered it how many times until we got here? We heard a shir twice by chavrusas, you and your chavrusa, and then twice today was 5. So then, and here again now 6 times. When is the last time? I myself do not remember. Well, is there more?
If you did it with somebody together?
Oh, I did it twice. Since it was twice to it? I think supposed to do it twice. Quick. That's I think. Okay.
I want to leave it done.
2 times. I did 2 times today. Yeah, I thought twice. Okay, you did once. You're yes.
The guy said twice.
Has anybody here ever chazed a Gemara in one day more than 3 or 4 times? I personally did not remember. I know Yair raised his hand by the event. He for sure did. Anybody else? You just don't. I don't know. It doesn't happen so often. I mean, it could be as you're learning it here and you go back to something, but not having in mind the chazer. So we start again the Mishnah. Hayoshin tachas amita b'sukkah. If somebody's sleeping under a bed in the sukkah, lo yotzei dechavas. He's not yotzei schiv. This is the Tanakh Meshita, and we saw later in the Gemara it's actually the Rabbanon, so it sounds like this is the majority opinion. Amr Yehuda said. We were noyig. We did sleep under a bed in front of very chashuv older people. And they didn't say anything at all, which is mashma that there's nothing wrong with sleeping under a bed. It doesn't take over the sukkah. You're under a bed in a sukkah. Overall, you're in a sukkah. That's okay. Rabbi Shimon says, let me tell you a story. The story with Tavi. He was sleeping under a bed. And Gamil made this comment to the Zakenim in front of everyone. He said, Tavi Abdi, you see Tavi, my servant, he knows his stuff. And he knows that Avadim are pater from Sukkah. That's why, therefore, Yashinu Tachasamita. Look at this, he's a smart guy, he knows, and that's why he's sitting under the bed, because he knows he's pater from Sukkah anyways, and Avadim wants to make room for everyone, and that's why he went to sleep there. So says Reb Shimon, based on this story, based on this, what happened, and this comment by Rabbi Gamliel, we see from here, if you sleep under a bed, you're not Yetzir Chiv. We're coming out of a Machlokes Tanaim. We have everybody holds, you sleep under a bed in a sukkah, you're not Yetzir Chiv. There's only one Shita, Reb Yehuda, there's a Das Yachid here, that says you're Yetzir even under a bed. Says the Gemara, a comment. What do you mean? Why would a mita take over as being a whole oil? The like asar doesn't even have 10 tfachim. It's like wearing a jacket. You go under a bed, it's like wearing a hat. The Gemara says, Tirgush Shmuel b'mita asara. It was a mita that was 10 tfachim high. That's a serious tent, and therefore it potentially could take over the sukkah. Fine. And now the Gemara went off tangent, and we're going to get back to our Mishnah with a discussion about oil. And the Gemara brought a Mishnah oilist. Tzan Hasa, Mishnah oilist. Echad chor. Now, if everyone could look in the Gemara, I think it's very negay. I'll help you. There's pictures in the back. Everyone take a moment because it shows the pictures, and it'll actually be negative for you for the next Gemara we learn the pictures. I'm having a big picture guy. I don't know what page it's on. Someone can say the page when you get to it. It goes by daf. Like it says, it's chafam beis. Well, I'll even put a tissue in there. Like you can always look back at it. Chaf ches. So the Gemara says, I'll read the Mishnah while you're looking at the pictures. There's 5 types of holes that end up being a tent with a roof. And what are the 5 types of holes? 3 are natural and 2 are made by a random pile, not with any intent to make a hole and with a cover above. Echad chor shecharu mayim. One was a hole that water like punctured against the banks of the river and created an indentation which has a roof above it. Oy shratzim, or there were shratzim like little insects, animals that made a hole. Oisha chalase malachas, or some salt or some sort of corrosion in the ground that create a crevice that now has a tent, a little area with a tent above it. When I say tent, I mean the tent would be made out of the ground. And v'chein midbach avodim v'chein saver shalkeres. Saver, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. It was either a pile of stones or a pile of beams. Guy threw them down at a building site and created like a little space with shadow oil. All these cases, back to the Mishnah, The Tanakama holds mahil al tuma. That does create a tent for tuma. If there's a kazayis of mace in there, you will become tameh if you're also in there. Reb Yehuda and Reb Yehuda says kol oil sheina asu b'di adam ein oil. The Yehuda sheet is any tent that's not made by a person with kavana to make an oil. It's not an oil. It doesn't have a din of an oil. Not an oil. That is the machlokes in the Mishnah. The Gemara said, "My time at Reb Yehuda. What's the reason of Reb Yehuda? Yolif oil in the Mishkan. Learns it from Xer Shavrim oil from the Mishkan. Ksiv Hacha. It's written over here. Zoy sater adam kiyamas ba'oil. It says by the whole parsha. It talks about oil. There's a mason oil. It has a lashon of oil there. Ksiv Hasam is written over there by Moshe when he put up the Mishkan. Vayifres this oil al Mishkan. He spread the oil, the tent, over the Mishkan. Ma'ala alam b'di adam. Just like over there, it was done by a person with intention to make a tent. Avkan b'di adam. So too over here, it's only if you have intention to make a tent, not like these cases which are totally random holes that now have a tent. Rabbanan, what do Rabbanan do? Oil, riba. They have a totally different limud. It says a lot of times the word oil in the parsha of oil, and that tells you any type of oil is an oil, and if there's a kazayis of a mason there, you will become tummy from there. And this is where we're up to. So we have a very nice, we don't know why it's going to come back to Sukka. Obviously, as a shaykhis to oil, but we'll have to see. We haven't even touched back on our Mishnah. We're just discussing this Mishnah Olis and the Machlokes Reb Yehuda and the Rabbanim. Now the Gemara is going to get a little fun and say, does Reb Yehuda actually hold this? It says the Gemara. Al Chafal Alpha Medalf, 5 lines down. The Savar Reb Yehuda, Kol Oil, She'enei Asi B'di Adam Eina Oil. Is that true? That Reb Yehuda holds any oil, any tent that's not made by the hands and the kavana of a person with intent is not an oil? You're a minhu. Let me ask you a contradiction. And before we can see the contradiction, we need a hagdama. This is a Mishnah in Para. When I learned Mishnah's Para, when I came across this Mishnah, I had never seen such an interesting Mishnah. I think in the entire Shisha Mishnah, this to me is the most interesting and like, whoa, Mishnah in the entire Shas, according to me. Okay, this is my personal opinion. This is like mind-boggling I'm about to tell you. I'm telling you, I'm blown away from this Mishnah. But you need a Hagdama to understand it, and then we'll chop the stira. We all know that if someone becomes Tamei Mace, he needs, the only way to become Tahar again, it's very interesting, is you have to take a paraduma, a red cow, and I'm not getting into all the details, you slaughter it and you burn it. You get its ashes. There's a lot of details, but overall you get the ashes of a paraduma, you take spring water, and you put it together, water and ashes, and you have this mixture, you sprinkle that on a person, and the person becomes not 100% Torah right away, but it's part of the process. On day 3, on day 7 of his tumah, he gets sprinkled, besides for waiting the days, and he goes to the mikveh and he becomes tahar. But that is the overall idea of a paraduma, is to mix the ashes with spring water, and you sprinkle it on somebody. Okay, that's paraduma, and that's well known. However, what about making a paraduma for the first time ever? What do you do about that? Or let's say they want to make another one. So over there, the rule is that when you make the paraduma, the person who's actually, that was like sprinkling on somebody who's tummy from mace. But the guy who makes it, the kohen who makes it, he has to be tahar as well. He has to be tahar, and we're very serious with his tahara. However, the rule is that he's allowed to be a tful yoim. It doesn't have to be 100% tahar. What is a tful yoim? I'm sorry, there's a lot of introductions to this. Just bear with me. If you guys have any questions, please ask. Anytime a person becomes tameh, we're used to the idea, let's say he's mitzi zer levatal, and he becomes tameh. So he has to go to a mikvah. If he wants to go into beis midrash or dikachim. Besides for going to the mikvah, you have to wait till Herav Shemesh. You have to wait till it's nightfall. Only once it's nightfall are you 100% tahar. Till that time, in the middle, from when you've gone to the mikvah till nightfall, you're called a tful yoim. The word tful yoim means you're toivel that day. And for many things you're tahar, but for a lot of things you're not. Some things are, you could eat meiser sheni, but you can't eat shuma or kacha. So you're like on the fence. You're on your way to becoming tahar, but not yet. So if someone's a tful yoim, we learn out in the Torah, he is allowed to prepare the paraduma. Even though we need it to be done by someone who's tahar, someone who's putting the ashes together with the water and doing the whole thing, he's supposed to be tahar. He could be a tful yoim, which is a chiddush. He doesn't have to be 100% tahar. Came along the Tztukin are a group of people who do not believe in Torah Sheba'al Peh. You can take it as Gemara and throw it out. They don't believe in it. All they believe in is take out a chumash and what it says. And the way they darshan the psukim, they come out, you have to be 100% tar. You cannot be a tefil yom. They're more machmer. I'm not going into their drasha. They learn out. You have to be 100% tar. So a kohen would have to get out of his tefil yom status, and then he's tahar, and then he could actually start preparing the paraduma. But till then, he can't. Lamaisa, we know they're wrong. So you know what they used to do? It's crazy. What they used to do was, the kohen, he was all tar, he was ready to go. They would bedafka go and make him tameh. Someone who, I don't know, a sheretz, whatever, they would go and they would touch him. He would go to the mikvah, and then he would be mitaher and do the whole process of setting up the paraduma. The bedafka went to show the stukim they're wrong and said, we're going to be mitama this guy. He's going to go to the mikvah, now he's a tful yoim, and now he's going to prepare the paraduma. Just to show the stukim that they're wrong. So far, so good? Any questions on this? Okay. Now, this is where it gets crazy. So, interesting. Okay, I hear that part's a chiddush, but it's not the craziest part to me. Here's where it gets crazy. They got nervous now. The people are going to think it's a joke, right? Imagine you have a kohen, he got all tar. They used to also put him in somewhere for 7 days to get him ready. It was a whole complicated process. He's finally ready to go. You bedaf to go on your matama him, and then you put him in the mikvah and do it. People are going to think it's like a zolzol. It's like a joke, paraduma. Or even matama the guy. So because of that, they said, we're going to go crazy, crazy, crazy stuff to show that we're makbet how tar he is. Crazy stuff. We're going to show how tar he is. We're going to do major chumras and still be matamim. We're still going to be matam at the end to show that stuk in the wrong, but we're going to do so many things before to show that we do care about tahara. And what did they do? They wanted that the people that are dealing with making the paraduma should never have become tameh in their entire lives. For sure. We know for a fact, we're going to make sure that whoever's preparing the paraduma, mixing the ashes and the water, never became tameh in their entire life. How's that possible? How is that physically possible to never become tameh? We all know there's random people buried in the ground. It could be in Manchester, there are people buried under the ground. It's called the kever hatahim. In the depths, there are people that are buried. We have no clue. Could be there is, could be there isn't. Anywhere you go, you might be tamei meis. We assume everyone in Chutz La'aretz is tamei meis. Even if you've never been to beis sakvaris, we assume you are tamei meis. And there to show they're more careful. But over here, who knows? But even there to show, no one really knows if you don't have a dead person underneath the ground. And the way it works with people who are buried under the ground is that the tumah goes straight up through the ground to anyone walking above it. Unless there's some sort of hefsek, the tumah goes straight up, and if you're walking on the ground and there's a dead person underneath, you become tameh. You become tameh. The only way to stop it is if in the person who's buried, they leave a tefach of space. If you leave a tefach of space, that creates an oil. Okay, we're going to get back into that. That creates an oil that does not allow, because the tumah has ways to expand and move around in that airspace, it doesn't end up shooting up. I know this is a hard agdama. Bear with me. Most things are much easier than this. You're not going to understand the Mishnah. Near to show they leave a tefach of space. I have no clue. Yeah, could be. It would make sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure. They put something there to make sure it doesn't happen. So, anyways, how do you ever make sure that the person will never become tameh? What they did was they built little developments. They took topsoil, made a lakewood development in Eretz Yisrael, and built it on arches on top of the ground, so that there's this whole new platform above the ground that has airspace underneath. If you take a look in the picture, it's there on your next picture. And they brought women who were pregnant to have their children in these developments. It's like a chutzner, but it was like a development. And they made a lakewood development in Eretz Yisrael where there's absolutely no way of becoming tameh, because it was built on stilts, on these arches that raised you on the platform. And in this way, if a baby grows up in this house, we know for a fact that he has never become tameh his entire life. Okay, so it's a very good question, but let's say tamei meis. It is a very good question. Yes, it's a good question. The woman who was pregnant, we're going to make sure she was tahar before she got there. But once she's there and she has the baby, that baby is going to be watched for years, not for a day, for years, till this baby grows up, until he's 7 or 8 years old. We don't want to wait till he's 9 because he might be Mitzvah Batal at that age or things like that. So 7 or 8. And at 7 or 8, they're the ones who are going through the process that prepare the water and the ash. They get the water, they bring the ash.
Archers makes it not.
When you have an arch, right? Let's say this is the ground. So if there's a mace underneath here, and you're walking here, the tumah shoots up all the way. But if you put it on an arch, if you go like this, if you could somehow create a whole area like this, so then there's an airspace, and now there's an airspace. When you walk over here and there's a dead body here, even if it goes up, it gets stopped by the airspace. Whenever there's airspace, the tumah won't shoot up. As long as there's no airspace whatsoever, then the tumah goes up. Do not lose hope from this mission. This is like the hardest. This is one of the I just want to chazir this over again. With all this crazy stuff, they bring kids to courtyards, developments, till they grow up till they're 8 years old, so that they can be the ones to prepare the water and the ashes. And we know for a fact this is done b'tahara. After doing this, making these mothers and kids crazy, you know what they do? They finally, the kohen's ready to sprinkle the guy, they're metameh him. They're metameh the kohen. With all the work they've done, he goes to the mikvah, and I was a tvul yom, but we hold that tvul yom is okay. I'm telling you, this is what you're going to see it inside. This is mind-boggling. I cannot. For me, it's what do you say? It's a question. So we really care about the tahara. The Stukin came along and said, no, you need to be even more tahara. We want to show they're wrong. You can only be a tvul yom. But because people are going to like joke around and say, hey, we don't care about tumah, we do crazy, crazy things to show that we do care about tahara, even though we're matamim at that. Now, having said that, let's look at the Mishnah. Uriminu. The Gemara is a contradiction on Rabbi Yehuda that he says any oil that's not made by a person is not an oil. And I don't even know how to go weiter because it's already 9:20. So we'll go a few minutes and then we'll stop. Uriminu. Sometimes I guess we'll do more shir, sometimes we'll do less based on the situation. Uriminu. Contradiction. There's a Mishnah in Parah. Chatzeres hayu benuyos b'Yerushalayim. They had courtyards that were built in Yerushalayim al gabe hasela, on top of rock. The reason why on top of rock is because there's less of a chance someone's buried when there's a rock, when underneath the ground is rock, there's less of a chance. V'tachteim cholol, and underneath them was a hollow space. They made it on like arches, if you saw in the picture. Even though it was made on top of sela, but just in case a dead body was in that bedrock, they still made it on arches, this entire development. Why? Because of something called mipnei kever hatahim, because of the kever of the deep. Tahim means the deep. It's a way of saying we don't know what's going on. It's a suffix. It's like the deep. Deep means like we don't know what's happening. It could be underneath the ground. There is a dead body there. That's called kever hatahim. We don't know if someone's buried there or not. And because of that, they built these courtyards. And when umevian nashim ubres, we bring women that are pregnant, the yoldei sham, and they give birth there. Umegalis b'neim sham lepara, and they take care of their kids and they grow up and they get older for the sake of the para, to prepare the para. How are they going to go get the water from the spring? They have to leave the courtyards. Umevi, you need to get from a natural source of water. Umevi and shvarim, they would bring oxen, val gabein delosses, and they would put doors on the backs of the oxen to make a greater space. The kids could sit on it. The tinoik is yoshvin al gabein. The kids would sit on top of these doors, which are on top of the oxen's backs. The koises shall even be dan, and they had cups of stone in their hands. Stone's not makabel tumah, only metal, wood, things like that. Stone is not, so it's a very good choice that it for sure can't become tameh. Higiu l'shiloach. Shiloach was the name of a spring where they would get natural spring water. It was near Yerushalayim. They reached the shiloach. Yordu l'seichamayim. They went into the water, umilum, and they filled up their cups. And if you go right where the water is, there's less of a chance of any dead bodies there. They walked all the way up to the water, got out, went inside the water, filled up their cups. V'alu v'yashvulem, and they went back onto the oxen and sat themselves back. V'yashvulem means they sat themselves back on these shvarim, and that is how these kids got the water for the paraduma. They had to grow up in a random courtyard, making sure they never became tameh for 7 or 8 years, and then they would go on the backs of these oxen. So there's like an ox like this. You can look at the pictures, and they had like a door on their backs.
What was the door for?
The door was for that the kids wouldn't by mistake put his hand too far away and then become tummy from any mace that was under the ground over there. Regular board would be, but it has to be above. It has to be. Right, it's above the shore, but it gives you more space. If you're on the shore, we're going to see a second. Someone argues you're on the shore, but it gives you a little bit more of a width. The kid might stick his hand. The second is
a regular board.
yeah. Door. I don't think a door means a door. Yeah, just any big piece of wood, a plank of wood. Yeah, a plank of wood. And Rabbi Yossi says no. Rabbi Yossi said no. We have to be even more careful. Don't even get off the shore's back. Take a string. The words are from the place of the shore. They would lower. Umemala and fill them up. Why? Because of this serious possible chance that there's a burial, someone's buried in the depths over there. And we'll stop over here. Sorry, it's a lot of things are not like this. This is a very interesting, a lot of introduction.